Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. As you can probably tell by my happy voice, West Ham just won 3-1 at the Riverside. Charlie, you must be a happy hammer right now.
I am, yeah. I think we rode our luck for vast portions of it, but we did exactly what we haven't been doing all season. We put the ball in the back of the net, and especially that first opening section, we looked like West Ham of old. We played well, we attacked quickly, and it was good. It was good. We won.
Well, let's talk about that opening part that Charlie just referred to there. Gonzo within 90 seconds. Antonio should have put one up. What a shocking miss that was.
It was a bit of a shock, wasn't it? It was we boded quite well because I think it was Lanzini and Cresswell had combined really well, and obviously Antonio started quite centrally, like we were playing a 4-4-2 or something. And it flashed across the goal after a good combination play, and he missed, but it was good. As I say, you thought, hold on, we're starting well, and it was a very, very good opening period for us, and we carried on in that vein.
Yeah, we did carry on that vein, Gonzo. You must have been, I mean, after the first 5, 6, 7 minutes, I was sitting there thinking, hang on, this is as good as I've seen all season from West Ham. Granted, it was only 7 minutes in, but I was sitting there thinking, I like this. I like it. Were you impressed in the first 7 minutes?
Yeah, I watched it, and I actually started thinking to myself, you know what, it seems like almost Bilic has got his mojo back. If you remember Bilic of last season, even when we were behind, he'd chuck on strikers, and he'd get very, very attacking. And for whatever reasons, at the start of this season, there's been a lot of defensive formations, a lot of sort of defensive-minded tactics and substitutions. I want to go away from home, regardless it might only be Middlesbrough, to go away from home and think, okay, I'm going to put 2 in midfield and 2 up top. It's a very, very brave thing to do, and it seemed like the Crystal Palace, whether it's Crystal Palace or the Payet stuff or whatever, seems to have liberated him. The shackles are off, and I was quite pleased to see him go for that. And I think that's that and the intensity gave us a really good start.
I deservedly took Charlie thumping header though, wasn't it, by Andy Carroll? You know, just there's a lot of questions. Can he stay fit? Can he be our 20-goal season man? He said it in the summer that he could be that man, even though he got his injury. He's come back from injury. He's in form right now, isn't he? You can see him. Gonzo says that Bilic has got his mojo back. I think Andy Carroll's got his mojo back.
Yeah, and if there's one person in the box in form you do not want to lose, it's Andy Carroll. And he started, and we all know what Carroll does. You hang the ball up, he attacks it. He began to attack it. The defender completely lost track of him, and he thumped it home. It was maybe as easy as they come, but he's starting to really look dangerous again. And there were several times in that match where just having that extra support around him, Antonio next to him, and wingers flying down by the sides of him, we look really, really dangerous. And you know, you said it, if he could stay fit for an entire season, then I think he would maybe even comfortably get 20 goals.
Charlie, do you think that shows how easy our corners could be if you just beat the first man? Just beat the first man and just get it in that box. You don't even have to aim for Andy Carroll. Just put it in the box and just let him do the rest.
Yeah, it does, and we still do that annoying thing where we put all of our attacking heading threats next to each other, which I kind of get why they do it at the beginning, but then they never seem to spread out. They all seem to run in the exact same position, which makes it a little bit easier to defend against. But I mean, just loft it up in the air, and Andy Carroll will probably 9 times out of 10 win the header. It's that simple when you have him on the pitch, really.
As good as he is in the air, Gonzo, was that way too easy for Andy Carroll? I watched that replay and I just think, what's the Middlesbrough defence doing? He just runs. There's no one blocking him, no one holding him, nothing. He just runs.
Yeah, but I'm also mindful. I've complained a lot about Andy Carroll this season and the tactics to supply Andy Carroll. And I just thought today we got it right. I've always complained about Payet's corners, and before Payet's corners, Noble used to take bad corners as well. So it was nice to see a decent delivery. Antonio sort of bundled the geezer in front of him as well. Can't remember who it was, which sort of cleared a little bit of the way. And in the build up to it, Reed sort of blocked the fella off. Yeah, if it was our central defender, you'd say he could have done better, but maybe they did make it a little bit easy for him. But you can't do that with Andy Carroll, and you're not going to keep, if you get deliveries in and good corners in, you're not going to get 100% defensive solidity against him. At some point he will get in, or at some point as a defence you're going to make a mistake. We just got to make sure we're putting the balls in the air to allow Carroll to dominate in the air, like Charlie said. And as we saw from when he was back in the middle defending, he's even winning headers in defence. So, clearly he's going to win. And yeah, in that one, it might have been easy, but if we'd have continued like that, he still would have scored anyway.
So in answer to the question, yeah, it might have been a bit easy. Gonzo, Mark Noble went into the box. Mark Noble got brought down. Penalty for you or no penalty? Was it too easy?
I thought he'd lost control of the ball. I thought just before he'd lost control of the ball. So perhaps technically, I think we would have been very, very lucky to get that. Of course, we would have been screaming the other end, but he sort of did a little jinky twist, didn't he? And I thought as he did that second turn, the ball slightly ran away from him. So I'm not sure he was getting that ball anyway.
Middlesbrough made it 1-1 not long after that, Charlie. Good goal by Middlesbrough. Good a player, or was it poor defending by West Ham?
By West Ham, but Middlesbrough had to. Our midfield pushed way too far forward. Noble and Obiang just went. When the ball first got played, I was like, okay, we're actually pressing quite well. And then all of a sudden, I noticed Noble and Obiang were there. Ball gets played through very well. Bypasses our entire midfield and strike force completely. Then all of a sudden, Reed comes too far forward to cover that space because Noble and Obiang had completely vacated it. So someone had to do it. Reed comes forward as the last man. Essentially, ball gets played out wide, played into the box brilliantly. The ball across the box was perfect. Ball ends up in the back of the net. Was it too easy for Middlesbrough? Yes, it probably was. But they did have to do it. They did have to play that ball to perfection. There were one or two passes there that were a little bit risky and a little bit difficult, and they played them absolutely to perfection. So full credit to them, despite the fact Noble and Obiang were about 15 miles outside of where they should have been.
A deserved equaliser for Middlesbrough, Gonzo, in your opinion?
On the flow of the game, yeah, probably because we were good for the first 10 minutes and they came back into it. Just on what Charlie said, he's absolutely right. Tactically, what he said was right. Reed came in and made a lunge into the middle because they were coming through the middle. So at that point, Reed had taken up a midfield position, and then really what happened was the numbers weren't as balanced as they would be if we'd have had two centre-backs and two full-backs in position. The reason Reed has had to do that, as Charlie correctly pointed out, is because Noble and Obiang have gone too far forward. This is the balance that you're going to have to play. When you play a sort of 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1, whatever you want to call it, formation, you're going to have one less midfielders in there. So unfortunately, that is going to happen from time to time, that to have that extra attacker, you're having one less midfielder, and that is just what's going to happen, unfortunately. But yeah, I think on the flow of play, to answer your question, I think Middlesbrough probably did deserve the equaliser.
Yeah, I think they deserved it as well. I was quite impressed with Middlesbrough, actually. I thought they were a really defensive side, but I'll tell you what, at 1-1, I was sitting there thinking this is a really good game for the neutral, actually. I was really enjoying it, watching the game. As much as I don't want to see us getting attacked, it was open, it was free-flowing. It's not what I expected. I thought this game was maybe going to be 0-0 at one before. I think to sum up Middlesbrough's goal, when Sam Bydam's our last defender and he's got two attackers and he's got to pick one to go defend, that you just know they've tore us apart a little bit. But as you said, Gonzo, you're right, actually. This is something we're just going to have to put up with. We want to see 4-4-2 at times. We're just going to have to put up with getting cut open and I'm not going to complain about that because I want to see us play attacking football. So I'm going to have to just put up with sometimes that our defence is going to get overrun. However, went up the other end, Charlie, made it 2-1. Andy Carroll again, but bit of a strange one, actually. Antonio connecting that sweet of a shot from distance.
Yeah, when he hit that, the ball was at his feet, I was like, please shoot. We all know it's going to go flying into the stands. Please don't do it. And he struck it about as sweetly as it was possible to strike. And Valdez, who obviously is way past his best, let's be honest about it, but just could not stop it. It was so powerfully hit. There was no way he could hold on to it. And does exactly what a striker should do in that situation. He just followed the ball. He didn't. That's what we have been missing a lot of the time. Sometimes these opportunities, I said it about Ashley Fletcher's goal that he scored against United, you just have to follow the play. You just have to follow the ball. And he did that perfectly and he got the reward for it. He gets a goal. I didn't see whether it was offside or not, to be honest with you. I wasn't really concentrating. I was too busy celebrating, but perfect. What a strike from Antonio. I honestly did not think he had it in his locker, but he does. Fair play to him.
He was onside, but he was onside. Gonzo, is that what we need to see more of from Antonio? We all say how powerful he is, but he doesn't. Like when I seen that shot, why does he not do that more often? I know sometimes he's not the best at shooting, but he does have that power in his locker. So do you think we need to see more of that from him?
Yeah, and I think we will, because as good as Antonio has been for us thus far, I think he's only getting better. He really impressed me today, and it's not like he hadn't impressed me before. I just think he keeps getting better. Funny enough, in the build up to that goal, just rewind it slightly. Cresswell did really well, because Carroll would sort of come back earlier on to get involved in the play, but when Cresswell got it, and Cresswell was on the sort of left side of their 18-yard box, he had to kill a lot of times. He had no support, and I thought he did really well to kill and generate enough time for the support to come in, then for him to play it back to Antonio to have that shot. So he did really well. But yeah, Antonio has got a lot in his locker. He's a late developer because of his age. Didn't get into professional football, let's say, because he was playing for Tooting in the amateur leagues. Didn't get into professional football until quite late, but he's a late bloomer, as they say.
Charlie, just before half time, our second penalty claim, probably a bit stronger this one. Faguli got taken down. Was that a penalty for you?
For me, it was, yeah. Friend doesn't touch the ball. Faguli's going nowhere. Let's be honest about it. Faguli was just running the ball out of play. I think he was waiting for Friend to come and touch him in that case. But Friend doesn't touch the ball. He takes Faguli's legs out from underneath him. It's, I think, a clear-cut penalty. I don't understand. I mean, the refs clearly thought Friend has got a touch and it's gone out. I didn't understand why it wasn't a penalty personally. But, I mean, for Friend, he doesn't need to do that. He could have just stood him up and let him roll the ball out of play, because that's what's happening. Faguli had to have done something very spectacular to have created anything from that position.
I agree with you both, actually. Noble's ones, it would have been soft. I would have liked to see that given against us. Faguli's one, I can't see how it's not a pen. Faguli does well to position himself between the ball and Friend. He is looking for the pen, but Friend's stupid enough to dive in and almost give the pen. How that linesman doesn't see it, I have no idea. Absolutely no idea at all. But West Ham went in 2-1 up at the Riverside, and then they came out in the second half just as much as they started. Antonio's header just going over. And then Lanzini got put through by Carroll. He should be doing a little bit better with that chance, though, shouldn't he, Gonzo? It was almost like a repeat against Crystal Palace, that sort of running down the left on his weaker side, but he just didn't quite have the confidence this week.
He didn't quite have the confidence, the precision, or the power in that one. Having said that, he was heavily involved today, Lanzini. He was heavily involved, and we were under the cosh in that second half. I thought there were two things sort of earmarked Middlesbrough for me in that second half. The first one was persistent fouling. Clearly, they were under instructions to get out there and get in our faces, and they seemed to accept that each one of them might well get a yellow card, and there was a lot of that going on. They were quite dirty. The other one, someone we've not touched on yet, was that wasp, that irritant, the Tasmanian devil, Adama Traore. I mean, what a player that boy is. He was a constant thorn. He switched wings as well. Whatever side he went down, he seemed to have a lot of joy. I mean, I don't know what we're planning. I don't know what our transfer policy is or our transfer structure is, but I'd be very disappointed if we weren't looking at that guy, that's for sure. So I think, yeah, he was a menace throughout.
Yeah, we'll come on to individual performances after the game as normal. De'Roon's header went close, headed into the ground. Great save by Randall. And then a bit of a strange one in the West Ham box as Negredo flashed across the face of the goal. Cresswell tried to knock it behind, hits Duani, which hit the bar, and then Reed chested it back to Randolph inside the 6-yarder. And then on came Kaleri, and everyone thought, oh no, what's going on here? Kaleri comes on, and then he misses a volley after a nice little flick by Lanzini. But then Charlie, well, just before that, Gonzo Gested had that chance. Middlesbrough went long ball. Middlesbrough went direct. Two big lads up front, Negredo and Gested. Get the ball in the mixer. We were panicking a little bit at the back, do you think, or were you quite comfortable with it? I thought we were quite shaky at times. I thought there was a few miscommunication between certain defenders. Randolph and Byram had it as well. There was a few times I thought, oh God, I don't like this. But that was their chance.
That was their chance, and it didn't do badly. I mean, it connected quite nicely with it, and had it have been another foot the correct side, Randolph wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. He sort of stood there and watched it anyway. I mean, although he did make a lovely reaction save earlier on in the half, of course. Yeah, I don't blame them for doing that. They had to try and do something. It was their home game, and they're not a bad team, as we've discussed. So yeah, they got him, haven't they, from Blackburn? He was from Blackburn. He played up front with Jordan Rhodes, the commentator was saying. So they do have goals in them. Negredo, we know, is a good player. So as you say, two big guys. sort of, it was long ball. Classic got knocked back to him, did the volley. It was off target, fortunately for us.
Charlie, though, right at the end, we had about 4-on-2 going forward, and we thought, right, come on. And then Antonio plays it to Caleri, and you're thinking, no, not that pass, not that one. But Caleri then gives it to Fernandes. You're thinking, yes. But then Fernandes tries to give it to Lanzini, but his pass is just not good enough. So Lanzini turns, cuts it back to Caleri, whose shot could have been going wide, to be honest. It hits, I think it's Clayton. It hits Clayton in the arm, pings in, 3-1, party in their way in. But deserved third goal, Charlie, despite the comedy attached to it.
We were certainly riding our luck up until that point, and I don't know why all of a sudden we got this confidence that we thought we could overplay it in such an OTT way. But fair play to Lanzini. He very easily could have let that one just roll out and then dropped back to try and defend. But no, he goes full force, runs, keeps it in, plays it back. And, despite the fact, like you say, was it going wide? Whatever. I'm going to give it to him just because he's probably leaving anyway. So why not give him a parting gift of a goal to go ahead and give him some confidence to wherever he ends up again, maybe back in Uruguay, second division or wherever it was. But yeah, fair play to Lanzini. He made that, I think. But without that drive and that want to actually get a third goal and really put it to bed, then we could have been a bit lucky. But yeah, I mean,
shocking pass from Fernandes, though. He's lucky that ended up in the net, because that was an awful pass. Gonzo, the game finished 3-1, obviously, but Caleri, is it too little, too late for Caleri, or did he impress you when he was on at all? What did you think of his cameo role today?
He was better than I thought he was when he came on. I thought he gave us a little bit of energy, a little bit of technique. Seemed to link with Lanzini, quite not just the last goal, which won't win goal of the season, obviously, but I think he linked with Lanzini quite well. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to see him. I will still let him leave if he doesn't mind, if you don't mind, because I think particularly if we're going to play in that way, then we need something a little bit different, because what was a bit of a feature was in the first half, we played in the way that we've already spoken about. Then when we were under the cosh, we were breaking quickly. And what was happening was Antonio would win the ball back, and he's got such pace and power. We would then counter-attack very, very quickly. And Lanzini was often involved in that. So it's almost like Antonio had the pace and the power, and Lanzini had the technique. They were going to do that, play that counter-attacking style in the second half. Then we've got to make sure our striker is fast, and I just don't think Caleri is that guy. But yeah, he did well for us today, and he probably hasn't had the chance. He'll probably look back and think, I wasn't given the best of chances at West Ham, but there you go. I think I prefer somebody else.
Well, let's go on to some individual analysis quickly. Charlie, our back four as a kind of group, let's leave out Winston Reid, because we all rave about Winston Reid every week. There's no point in doing that again. But what about Byram and Creswell for you? I mean, question marks over them, or were you happy with what you've seen?
They looked shaky defensively. As Gonzalo's already brought up, Adama Traore running down both wings wherever he was playing with relative ease, flying past midfields, flying past fullbacks. But I think it's worrying. I think a better team might have exposed us a little bit better today than Middlesbrough did. They're obviously, like you said, they're not the most attacking of teams, and so I'm a bit worried about that. But I think there's positive signs there going forward. I think just having two actual fullbacks who will go forward and come back, we just look so much better with them. And although they were a little bit shaky defensively, I think it's so much better than it has been in previous weeks.
It makes a difference going forward. In that first 5-minute spell we were talking about, when Antonio got his chance, when that pass got played out to Creswell, it's worth noting that Creswell and Byram were both in line with Middlesbrough's back line. They were both playing as almost like wingers. They were right up there, pinning Middlesbrough back, and that's what I want to see. Gonzo, our centre midfield, this is where I thought we were weak. I thought we were poor in this position. Noble in the first half, and Obiang, actually. I think Obiang somehow didn't get booked. I think he did about 5 tackles. A couple were yellow card cautions anyway. But anyway, Noble and Obiang, and then when Fernandes come on, I thought he did okay, but I think a better centre midfield would have punished us today in that area.
Yeah, although the amount of recovery, I know, because obviously we were under the cosh with Obiang in that second half, particularly towards the end of it, we got under the cosh, was excellent, as good as I've seen him play in many respects. I think when you play a 2, we've spoken about the tactical shape. So a lot of the season we've been playing with 3 midfielders in the middle. That means you can get away with a little bit. When you're playing with a 2, just a 2 in the middle, you better make sure one of them's a really, really good athlete, because he's going to need to do the running of an additional defender, because you'll come up against so many teams who play with 3 in the middle. And I think, if anything, that's where we're going to lack. And we'll probably need somebody slightly more dynamic if we're going to persevere with that system. I totally agree. But like we've already discussed, I'll take that. I'm really excited by the fact that we might be able to play some games with Andy Carroll and one other striker up front, be that Antonio as it was today, or maybe if Hogan comes in or whatever. I'm licking my lips at that, and I'll take that. As we said earlier, I'll take the fact we won't quite compete all the time in central midfield.
If you watch our live shows, our Cup of Tea with you and Gonzo, another one on Sunday night at 8:30, by the way, a little plug, I'll mention at the end. But Gonzo, if you watch those shows, when we spoke about Faguli's link to Roma, you said you'd have liked to have seen him depart, whether it's on loan or for sale. You're quite happy to see him go. Have you changed your mind at all yet, going by today's 90 minutes?
Big time. Not just today's 90 minutes. Palace as well. Yeah, I've seen something in it. Yeah, reserve the right to change my mind. I'm not too big to say I was wrong. Absolutely. And I also thought, whilst we were talking about Lanzini and Cresswell, I thought there were times it was so nice to see Byram and him combine, Byram overlapping Faguli. I think he's got an industry to him, which is quite nice to see as well. And there was a lovely pass in that first half where he dinked it over. There's definitely something about Faguli, and particularly as it looks we're going to lose Payet, then I say we keep him on board, certainly.
As you may know, if you watch us quite a lot, my favourite player is Lanzini, so I'm going to rave about the little gem in midfield. He's just utter class. Every time I watch him, I think, Jesus Christ, what a beautiful footballer. But as Charlie said, what I really like about him is, as Charlie said, it's the 90th minute. It's stoppage time. He still just runs to get that ball. He's still trying to make things happen. And he did it against Crystal Palace last week. And the amount of times everyone's raving about the Andy Carroll goal. For some reason, I actually like Lanzini's more. Not the finish, but just the way he runs from beside Winston Reid in the 6-yarder. Like literally 20 seconds later, he's dinking the keeper at the other end with some blind technique. It's just a pity that goal has been overshadowed by 1 in a million kind of scissor kick type goals. But Charlie, yourself, Andy Carroll, we're not going to speak about Antonio because he comes in with Winston Reid. He gets rave reviews every week. But Andy Carroll, Charlie, he nailed down that position for you up front. He said, I am the number 1 striker at West Ham. You buy another striker, you can sit on that bloody bench because I'm having this.
I think he has, yeah. And I think having another striker next to him means that when he drops deep to get involved in the play, we're no longer completely toothless up front. And I think he is technically capable of doing that as well. When he drops deep and collects the ball, he can spread a pass out wide to Antonio or whoever's on the left running through. And that's really impressive for him because obviously he gets numerous plaudits consistently and obviously for his heading ability, his danger in the box. But he's also fantastic at dropping deep. And that gives then the space Antonio to run through essentially. There were several times today where he would drop deep and then a ball came over the top for Antonio and he's blasting his way through because he finds space so fantastically. I think any striker who comes in, it doesn't matter whether it be a Scott Hogan or whether it would be a Daniel Sturridge, whoever comes in is going to have to contend with Andy Carroll. And right now he is playing out of his socks. I don't know how many goals and how many games he's got. I've forgotten the stat, but it is fantastic. And he is looking really like the player we thought we could get out of him when we first bought him.
5 and 7 for Andy Carroll. That's his 5th goal. He's got 2 days. He's got 5 and 7. And when you consider the teams we've played, yes, they are relegation battlers as well as Man U and Man City, sorry, but that's who I want him to score against. If you said, well, do you want him to score against Man U or Middlesbrough? I'd say Middlesbrough, please, because Man U's like bonus. There's a chance we'll still concede 2 against Man U, but the chance of us conceding 2 against Middlesbrough, I have a lot less. Charlie, you mentioned there, what impressed me today about Andy Carroll and recently, I think he's upped his game a lot with his reading of the play while the ball's coming to him. Like, at one point today, I seen him wave to Lanzini as I said, go. The ball was coming and he just waved. And he just spun it round over the top for Lanzini. It was almost like, Charlie, am I seeing something differently to you? Or do you think he's almost upped his game and just the way he's visualises an attack, if you like?
Yeah, I think that him having that support around him really helps because now he knows for a fact that when a ball is coming to him and he chests it down and drops and turns, he knows he can have people running. And so someone like Lanzini, who he knows will run his socks off, someone like Antonio, where he knows will make a smart run inwards towards the centre of the pitch, someone like Feghouli, who he can link up short with. Now he has those options around him. When the ball is coming to him, his sole job is no longer to just hold up play and wait for people to join him. You know, that partnership he had with Nolan was so effective because Nolan and him read the game well together. But it was still a case of him getting the ball, collecting it, and waiting for Nolan to catch up. Now he has the people around him to support him. We really might be seeing someone who, you know, we bought him for 15 million, which now doesn't seem that much money, obviously, in context. But back then was a lot of money. And we're seeing someone who looks like he really has all the tools to compete at, you know, a sort of top 7 club, which is obviously what we should be aiming to be.
And he's only got 18 months left on his contract. So, Andy, well done on hitting form at the right time. You two collect your final words and the all-important man in match, not Traore from Middlesbrough, although I think we might all want to give it to Traore to an extent. I think there's obviously one West Ham player in contention. On Sunday night, if you're watching this before that, or if you're watching it after, on Sunday we did do a live show, a live cup of tea with Gio and Gonzo. So get your cuppas, join us, because we'll be discussing what we think we should do with Mr. Dimitri Payet. We'll be discussing our new signing, Jose Fonte, and we'll be discussing the injury to Ogbonna and more. So do join us for that. Also, I just want to say a thank you to everybody that subscribed so far. We hit 4,000 last week. We really appreciate your support. But keep hitting that subscribe button. It's down in the bottom left corner, down there. Make sure you hit it. But Gonzo, final word. 3-1 West Ham. I don't know if we're in the top half of the table. We might be, but is things looking up now? That's just won 5 out of our last 7 games or something like that.
Yes, and I don't know any results from today. Okay, I'm not prompting you to tell me. I don't know any results, so I don't know whether. But it feels different. It feels different at West Ham. I don't know if it's Payet. I don't know if it's Bilic. I don't know what's gone on. It just feels different. I feel more positive. I feel like we can win games, and I just feel like the weight of the world has been lifted off the shoulders of the players.
Charlie, your final word, please. Not your man of match, though. Not yet.
Yeah, I agree. It feels so much different. I think the formation has a huge thing to do with that. Just playing 4 at the back and getting more numbers forward. We're seeing more free-flowing football. We're seeing more people getting forward. And that's so exciting to see. You know, I understand playing 3 at the back and going strong defensively and all that stuff, especially with the move to the big stadium. There was a tentativeness to it. But now we've got through that, you know, everyone seems to be firing up and getting better and better as we go forward. And thankfully, I know we spoke about Lanzini. I'm not going to praise him even more, but with someone like that, we don't need Payet, you know, and it feels so positive going forward. And now I'm no longer dreading the next game. I'm hyped for it. I want it to come out. It's just a shame we've got the FA Cup break coming up.
I think that's a good point, Charlie, actually, about how you're looking forward to the next game. Sometimes, I think not long ago, we were almost dreading the next game, going, oh, Jesus, what's going to happen? What's going to happen in between the next game as well? You know, we were all thinking, what's going to happen between now and then? What's going to kick off at the club? But now we're all starting to think, well, everything's going forward, everything's looking positive. And while we're all enjoying it more, I think the players are enjoying it more. I think they're playing with almost like a smile on their face, a little bit of, they've got a bit of swagger in their play. And it's really good to see, actually. It's refreshing. And, you know, we're playing Man City next in the league, and I think the pressure's off us completely. I think if we get beat, but as long as we show a little bit of heart, as long as we play for it, the fans will not accept it. We'll obviously be disappointed if we lose, but the fans will be able to put up with it a little bit and go, you know what, they played, blah, 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 we move on to the next one. And it's good. It's good. It's feel good time at West Ham United. But now, man in match time. Gonzo, would you like to kick things off with your award?
I certainly will, and I'd just like to say no offence and very well done to Andy Carroll, Winston Reid and Antonio in particular, but my man of the match today is going to go to Manuel Lanzini.
Charlie?
Winston Reid, where the hell would we be without that man? He's just an unbelievable rock at the back. He's so good. Saved us several times today.
Probably in the bottom three, to be honest with you.
Probably, yeah. Just what a man. What a man. Winston Reid for me.
Well, I'm going to go for a different one. I'm going to go for the obvious one. I think it's the obvious one. Well, first of all, I just want to say it's harsh, but I can't believe none of us are giving Antonio the man of the match, to be honest, because you know that geezer ran, he's absolutely nuts off today. And if he'd scored the first goal, he might have got it. That would have changed the whole game, etc., etc. But for me, it's Andy Carroll. He got the 2 goals. He looks like a different player. He looks like an absolute animal out on that pitch. But not only that, in the first half, he was our best bloody defender. You know, every time that ball went in the box from a set piece or a corner, it was his head on it. Like, I'm no longer scared at defending corners. When I see Carroll back there, I think there's only one guy winning this, and it's him, mate. So good luck swinging that thing in. And I don't know. It's just that it's really good to see Andy Carroll finally looking like the man for West Ham, the man that's worth 15 million quid. But anyway, let us know what you guys think. You can do that in the comments below. Or come on over to the forum at hammerschat.com. There is 10 games, 10 games. There's 10 days until our next game now. So we do have a little break because, as Charlotte said, we're not in the FA Cup, so we'll get a bit of a rest next weekend. However, the content does not stop. Me and Gonzo will be back with our cup of tea. Charlie is currently editing a video. We had a little look around the London Stadium. We had a little look around the London Stadium. Charlie's putting that video together. It'll be up on the channel next week. We'll also have the preview of the Man City game. So keep your eyes out. Loads of stuff coming. All our social media links are below. We'll see you in the forum. Make sure you subscribe. And until then, thank you for joining us. And well done, West Ham.